Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams, kicking it on a Sunday evening here in the QC after a Charlotte FC W. Danny Brams.
John, I just realized I cut you off again. That was 3 weeks in a row that I keep cutting off your intros, and you're like, Brams, let me get a clean intro off here. And then I get too excited. It's the chanting music. I'm so sorry, John. I just completely screwed up the whole damn show from the start. But yeah, Charlotte Soccer Show, we're back. I don't care because we won. We got the 3 points at home for the first time. And it was a beautiful intro. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Man, I'm excited to be here because of really one big reason.
Play to the near side on a curling ball. Nicely done for József. He's onside. József with a cross into the area. One touch volley. He scores! Karol Swiderski from Kamil József. The inverse of last week as József with a one-touch volley to Karol to open the scoring at the bank.
What an absolute screamer from Swiderski, the one-touch finish, Danny Brams, and I'm just like I'm so excited to be live on YouTube tonight on Charlotte Soccer Show. Brandon Davis, appreciate you checking in again on Sunday night. The excitement is real. You can just hear it in Willie P's voice. Will Pelagic on WFNZ, the local call, just he was ripping it in that press box.
I mean, it's Willie's style. There's definitely been people who've been like, Willie, the high-pitched scream, what are you doing? But you know what? You know who it is. Every time you hear that, you know who it is. So, like you got to have a style to stand out in this business sometimes.
Play to the near side on a curling ball. Nicely done for József. He's onside. József with a cross into the area. One touch volley. He scores!
I mean, an absolute banger of a call from Will Pelagic. Jessica Charman as well on the call. We'll hear from her side of the call. I'm going to later on in the show and we'll play that. Her reaction to the goal is great as well. But I want to hear everybody's. Yeah, I want to hear everybody's reaction to the goal. When you saw that goal, what was your first thought, Danny? You were in the supporters section. Tell me about the vibe there.
I sensed it, and so I've said it before. I'm a hugger on the show, so I sensed it was coming, and I was like, oh, there's a cross from Kamil. It's coming over. Oh, Karol's coming to that point. And as soon as he put his boot through it, I saw it bulge to the back of the net, and I just leapt at the person on my left, and I was just this giant hug, and then got two other people into the big group hug. It's just it's such an electric moment. We're having so much fun. I did not throw my beer. The beer shower discourse reignited this morning on social media. I'm not really here to get involved in that because we got our first 3 points. I don't really care how people feel about the beer showers. I'm not going to change anybody's mind on that, so we don't really need to talk a bunch about it. But I chose not to throw this week because I had a full beer I just bought. Wanted to drink it in celebration instead of throw it this time. That's kind of the way it goes. So, I started jumping up and down, and I felt really good when we got that goal because I just felt like we're finally going to pull this off. I just felt like I was like, I didn't think, even though I jokingly predicted 3-2 Charlotte win, at the very end of Thursday's episode, that was totally tongue in cheek, and I was really worried that we were just going to get fools made out of us against Columbus, and kind of like Atlanta did to us at home. And for us to play really well, to take it to the front foot, play front foot soccer, you love to see. The crowd was loud. Shout out Sean Swain. He gets it exactly right. The extended celebration after the goal went on and on and on.
One thing I said, Danny, was that Swiderski loves to celebrate a goal.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He does. Anytime Swiderski scores, especially at home, he just loves to celebrate. And I don't know how the fans don't wrap their mind around that. Sean Swain chimes in again. Let out a season worth of frustration. So exactly in that celebration, that's Swiderski though. He's always down to celebrate, one of his goals. And
he likes to score goals.
I'm here for that. I'm here. Yeah. I'm totally here for that. And
the game is about glory, right?
Yeah, that was your interview after not your interview. Your
that was my video. Yeah, and you see
Yeah.
those flags wave. That was post game. Like usually when we lose, I'm like, man, I stomp out of the stadium and get pissed. But when we win, I always go down and get like real close up in the close up throng of supporters and just try to soak in the atmosphere. Get a couple of videos and like those flags waving back and forth, just like post game for like long minutes after the game. You seeing Yusuf's assist and Carroll's goal up there on the replay. It was amazing. It was a beautiful scene, and just like again, like we are part of the club for these moments. You know, like we're not playing. I shouldn't say we play, but we show up. We like invest so much of ourselves into this whole process because it's those moments are just irreplaceable. There's nothing that can match that joy of just like wanting something so bad and then getting it and sharing it with all these people, thousands of people around you. It's just amazing.
It's 3 points, Danny. It's 3 points at home for the first time this season. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine that that's actually
right. I was starting to forget what that felt like, you know, like, oh, 3 points. What's that home? What's that? You know?
Yeah. Which was the strength of the squad to absolutely play well at home. So to get that first 3 points and to move up on the table, you know, for a while now, we hadn't really considered what the table looked like.
Right.
But at this point in time, I think knowing that you have a squad it's on the healthy side, getting better, looking at that table, when you get 3 points at home, the question can become, can you string together 2 or 3 to grab 9 points on the table? And a lot of this, Danny Brams, I have to call out George Marks, who had an incredible impact on this match.
That's third for Zelarayan. Zelarayan in the area, trying to cross it in, looking back post. Save made by Marks, and it was very well done by George.
Wake up call for the Crown. George Marks' quick feet work gets him in the position to make that big save away. Doesn't know too much about it, but moves his feet nicely across his goal line to throw his hand out and make the reaction save.
George Marks, he gets the start, Danny, and he has a great performance.
If you can make a match-saving play in the 20th minute, that's what George Marks did right there, because that was 20 minutes in. Ramirez somehow, if you look, can you call it the screen grabs that I took? And I tweeted these 2 screen grabs from that play from @ForTheCrownBaby, our Twitter account, because I was just so disgusted. Like, if you look here, you're looking at 5 guys surrounding Christian Ramirez there in the box, right? And as Zelarayan tees it up in total space with like no one even trying to defend him, right? And then if you go to the next screen, like then I like with the reply tweet to this one, I just froze it like a few seconds later, and you'll see Ramirez, even though he's standing in the middle of 4 guys there, and there's someone that's supposedly watching the crosser, he ends up with like a free header in the box with like Bill like wandering around like, oh, where did Christian Ramirez come from? I don't know. So that was another bad play by Bill. And if we go down 1-0 there.
Here, Bram,
That's third for Zelarayan. Zelarayan in the area, trying to cross it in, looking back post. Save made by Marks. And
you just see it there, right? Look at it again. Like you're trying to make your point, and this is unacceptable.
That's third for Zelarayan. Zelarayan in the area, trying to cross it in, looking back post. Save.
Like, what is happening there?
Yeah.
And Marks comes to the rescue is the ultimate point that we're trying to make here. And I think Marks is somebody who made a big time mistake and he bounced back. And Christian Lattanzio talked about this after the match, Dan. He talked about trying to give his goalkeeper a little bit more confidence, trying to give him an opportunity to get back out there. And Matthew Barbie checks in here on this Sunday Night Live show saying a world-class shot stopper. And, now has shown an ability to learn from a mistake and make adjustments. That's ultimately what Christian Lattanzio was going for. That doesn't mean this is his job to have for the rest of the season. There's still a competition happening here, but a clean sheet really helps, doesn't it, Danny?
Oh, it was everything. We needed the clean sheet to win. Obviously, Columbus had that late Aiden Morris goal that was called off for just a fraction of offside. I knew that one was offside when I watched it in the stadium, by the way. I was like, VAR instantly I knew. But yeah, they threatened us and the whole way, and George kept saying it. Shout out to Alan Schmidt. I think this might be a first-time comment from Alan. I think welcome to the YouTube. Thanks for being here, Alan, and everybody who's here. Tell your friends. We'll be here for another 20, 30 minutes or so. But top keeping, exactly the reaction you'd want after the fumble last week is what Alan Schmidt says. And you're exactly right, Alan. And you're exactly right, John. What Tristan Lattanzio harped on first and foremost in his post-game press conference last night after the match was, I can't put my young keeper out there, and then have him make a mistake that cost us 2 points. He's like, we should have had 2 points. We should have had 3 against Colorado. We ended up with 1. And it directly goes to George Marks' mistake. If I bench him after that mistake and don't give him a chance to learn, then I'm crushing his confidence and removing an opportunity for learning. And he said, if I put him back in, well, now I've got a player who has all the same talents he had before. He's just as talented as he was, as I thought he was when I first put him in the starting lineup. But now he's like learned from his mistake. And he specifically said, I thought his coming off his line and coming to claim crosses and coming to punch out, dangerous balls was better than ever last night. Like that's what Lattanzio said about Marks. And I don't necessarily say that I saw the same thing, but that is what the boss was saying. That's, and that's, if you can impress, his opinion matters a lot more than mine. So, so it all worked out to be, it's the classic coach thing. I think most coaches feel the same way. I think every coach knows, like, don't crush a young player's confidence. That can be really bad. But for all the criticism, we'd have to say that Laddie Daddy aced this one.
Matthew Glesson chimes in, friend of the show, says Kalina will get a cup game start. That feels right, doesn't it? That Kalina could start on Tuesday in the U.S. Open Cup against South Georgia. Feels a good.
Yeah, that's a lock. I think Cisniega played for the Crown Legacy today, so that just it's got to be
so that's a really good call out, and we'll get to see that on Tuesday. But there's
the Sportsplex.
There's a lot of games and a lot of action coming fast and furious so far. So for me, you talked about Lattanzio, you talked about what it meant to the club, you talked about what it did to the positive vibe. You could see it, Danny, on Saturday night. You could just tell at the end of that match, and shout out to the Charlotte FC video team and social crew for grabbing that content. I mean, really getting up close and personal after a win to see how much it means, and it means a lot.
Like we love to say on the show, vibes. It's just pure vibes, just all smiles, guys hugging each other. You saw Kerwin and Harrison doing a little this, I know, like I love that stuff. So, and Copetti all smiles. I'd like to get in a little bit of Copetti talk if we can, because I see the commenters are big on it. And Jorge Torres shouts out, hey, best part on the late Columbus goal was Copetti like refusing to let the game go any further and like saying, no, you will go check this on VAR. That was great. Keegan McDonald points out that Copetti is getting hate because he hasn't scored. And even Lattanzio had to address that last night about fans getting down on Copetti. And he was like, all the fans that love Enzo and support him, we welcome you into our family, and thank you for being here. We thank you so much. All the fans that are mad at Enzo for not scoring a goal tonight, we don't want you. Like he basically said that. Like so like if you're out there tweeting Enzo hate right now, just know that the gaffer is not happy with you because he thinks Enzo did a lot of good things. Alan Schmidt points out that Copetti's got a thankless job, and Brandon Davis sees it the complete other way. Far from hate. There's a takeout there that Copetti is actually playing amazing. So I want to know, like, in terms of being a pressing number 9 who drops back, can contribute on defense from the striker position. He's really great at clearing headers out of the box on opposing set pieces. He does that really well. Seems to like just have a magnet for the ball with his head. So I don't know. Where do you fall on the spectrum, John?
Well, while I'm talking about Copetti, I'd be interested for you to pull up his heat map on Saturday night.
Oh, I love a heat map. I love a heat map. Give me a second.
Because I think what you'd find is like just a player who is hanging around the halfway line. The hold-up play is the key word here. I think he's being more so used in a hold-up role than he is an actual forward striker role. And I think that's because Christian Lattanzio has yet again decided to go with last week's plan, Danny, which was, get into an 8-man block. I saw Christian Lattanzio call it a high block on defense, an 8-man high block, but I kind of scratched my head and I was like, well, it feels like a low block to me. And
it doesn't look high to me.
Yeah, like Copetti's all the way, out of it. So when
Copetti was playing like wide at some points. If you look at this, this heat map,
but that's a lot of hold up play. That's a lot of hold up play.
And there's almost nothing around the penalty spot.
Right. That the area left side is perfect, but the connection was there. And Christian Lattanzio talked about that post match, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how Copetti and Swiderski and their connection was better than it has been.
There was a moment.
This is two steps in the right direction, considering last week as well.
Yeah, and I agree. And Copetti and being all smiles and still, he still flops around a little bit. He's trying to draw fouls, but he's a little less animated with the refs, and I think that's helping. I love what the moment that Jorge pointed out where he had to I refuse to kick this ball off until you go look in the monitor. That was great. Gesslin brings up the point. You bought Copetti to put the ball in the net, and he hasn't done that. He's done it twice. He has 2 goals. It's not like he hasn't scored. So I think there was a moment in the second half where Carroll, it was like 60th minute, maybe 57th minute, I think. Carroll sort of got the ball and reverse spun away from 2 defenders, just like this really sick, classy move. It was either Morris or Zelarayan, I think, that he kind of spun through and spun around. And then he sends this beautiful through ball that beats the ball beats 3 defenders, and Enzo's just a half step too far behind it, too slow to get there. If he gets that, he's one-on-one. He's in on the keeper 1v1 from 40 yards out, and it was all this beautiful spin twirl, Spinderella, send a long ball, a line breaking pass that Carroll did that was amazing. And you say Lattanzio talked about it was the best connection that Carroll and Enzo had, the 2 of them working together. And we didn't quite get a true 4-4-2. If I call back up the sofa score, you can see that they're showing it as a 4-2-3-1 here. I thought at times it looked like a 4-4-2 when Enzo would play wide and Carroll was up at the top.
Well, let's look at Carroll's heat map. That'll tell you.
That's a good call. Here's Carroll's now is on the far right, and I brought Enzo's back.
Oh, look at that. Carroll hanging right in the middle of the pitch.
Just wow. I guess that's not really 4-4-2, but it was like a 4-4-1-1 almost. I felt more so than the, if we look at Affle's, he's close. You see how most of his red is here on the left, hugging the line as opposed to moving closer to the center circle like the fullbacks had been doing. I bring up Burns again. I mean, there's some stuff interior, but the fullbacks were hugging the line way more.
The tactics are pretty clear, and they have been for 2 matches now. This is the same exact strategy that Lattanzio used at home against Colorado. And we talked about the bad break. This should have been 6 points in 2 matches,
right?
Is what it should have been, using the same strategy. So I think Lattanzio's really found something here. He really likes this 4-4-2 setup, something that we've been calling for. We don't have to call it a 4-4-2. We can call it whatever you want at this situation. But what you have to identify is that the Karol Swiderski and Enzo Copetti partnership at the striker position is just absolutely massive for the success of this squad. Then you think about the back line and bringing in Nathan Byrne on the back right side, something that we predicted on the show, something that we knew was going to happen, get the veteran in there.
I was really glad for Jalen to get some run and get a few games, but now hopefully he's learned a little bit by sitting behind Byrne on this. I think it was important for him to sit because he was pretty poor against Colorado.
And really, it's not that impressive, and it's not necessarily something that is outstanding by any measurement. But Bill Tuiloma has improved, and those mistakes that we saw, the gifting, there was no. It was almost Christmas.
Yeah. It's Christmas every time with us for the opposition. I love the way Lattanzio. Yeah, the way Lattanzio says opposition, it just in his pressers, I just absolutely love it. That's how he describes. He never says the other team or the enemy or those guys. He just says the opposition. But the opposition did not have Christmas, thankfully, last night. I was drinking like it was New Year's Eve. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but. It was a fun game to watch. It was a good old time, and we kept the party. We were the only ones having the party in Bank of America Stadium last night, as opposed to the opposition, as it has been the case at times. Bridget McCall says she will even say Bill did well. Do you agree with that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
The Ramirez play we showed earlier, notwithstanding,
it's a clean sheet. Everybody on defense can take credit for a clean sheet. That's how it
fair.
works.
Yeah.
back
Agreed.
four, and the keeper. And after the match, I thought you had some great video. There's Józwiak, man of the match. But first and foremost, like, what is happening in the beginning of this video?
Show us. Serminti hit the gritty. Greg Franco nails it. I mean, the Serminti shuffle. Sean Swaim's calling it. Serminti's the man, dude. Serminti spreads joy and happiness wherever he goes. He's for the kids. Serminti was at the Legacy game today. It was Kids Day, so that was cool that he showed up. Actually, a ton of players were at the game. A ton of first-team players were at the Legacy game today. Like Vargas was spotted. Józwiak was spotted. The funniest thing is Bridget. She sent me a picture. She was at the game, and Camille was there, like trying to get into the game, and he had to like get his ticket scanned on his phone. He was like going in line with just like a civilian. So that was really cool to see. As far as Grinty, someone said it's Sir Grinty now since he's been hitting the grid.
That was the vibe post game. It's a great vibe.
I need to see the video of that. You could see that videographer. It looked like a team videographer, whoever that was like standing right in front of. I released the video, admin. Come on, let's go. Like what are we talking about? It's Sunday night and we still haven't seen the ISO cam of Serminti hitting the gritty. I don't know. Like our social media team does good, solid work, and I'm sure they've got something big planned. I don't want to like blow up their spot, but I need to see that video.
There's a lot to talk about. We were looking at the heat maps. We were looking at the formation situation, and now it's time to look at the substitution pattern. Danny,
it's what we always do.
Something that we
always do. Yeah.
Do this Sunday Night Live show. We appreciate everybody who is here, everybody that is dropping in on the live chat, everybody that's listening via podcast later in the week. You can follow us on social on Twitter at For the Crown Baby. And this substitution pattern, Danny Brams, starts with Columbus making the first bit of subs. And by the way, when I saw Darlington Nagbe come on the pitch in the 64th minute, I was like, damn, I've got nothing but respect. And I thought he played well when he came on.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the guy for them for a few teams. I mean, he was a champion with Atlanta in the DM role, and he's been crushing it with Columbus for a few years. It's dangerous when a team can sub in Darlington Nagbe on you. That's a deep team, and Columbus has been one of the better teams. And Nagbe's a little bit of a veteran, sort of towards the end of his career at this point. But it was a dangerous thing. And I should point out, Columbus also did lose a guy to injury. They lost their left wing back, Will Sands, in the 11th minute, and he looks like he's going to miss a few weeks for them. But yeah, you see Christian Ramirez, the guy who headed it. Thank God Mark stopped his header. He should have had a goal probably in that 20th minute against us, but he headed it right at George. George was able to stop it. He comes out. We're lucky that was not Cucho Hernandez, by the way, who's like the injured designated player striker for Columbus Crew, who probably buries that shot. And C-Ram is good, but he's not quite Cucho Hernandez. So Zawadzki, that was his first ever start, I believe. It was his first ever MLS start, so he was a likely substitute candidate. But yeah, I was pissed. I remember being pissed in the stands when I was like, "Damn it!" They're the first ones to sub again. I hate that. Like we're both, I think, of one accord that we like to see our team being the aggressor and like making the first move in this situation.
That's why I called it out. Is that Columbus makes the first move. And Mackenzie Gaines comes in for Kerwin Vargas, who had a bit of a knock, needed to come off the pitch. Mm-hmm. And Mackenzie Gaines gets some time, which I thought was a very interesting substitution. But what I wanted to talk about more than anything is Ben Bender in for Swiderski. Did you see where Bender was playing? Bender really came in for that role, which really is a 4-4-1-1 then. Like, if you click on Ben Bender here.
Yeah, let's get Bender's heat map. Sorry, let me zoom out for a second and zoom back in. The lovely, the charming
Look at
atmosphere of a Charlotte Soccer Show Sunday night live stream. Here's Bender's heat map. You can see
striker.
He's living in the box.
He played
he's
striker.
living in the box.
No, he came on to play striker.
Yeah,
which was fascinating to me. It was the first time I've ever seen Bender come on to play striker before.
He had a couple of chances. Late, and he forced a save. He forced a couple saves out of Schulte where he could have made some things happen. What do you think about taking Carroll off? Like, I agree with Barbie that I don't like taking Carroll off. Brandon Davis says Carroll looked gassed, and rightfully so, because he ran his ass off. Bridget agrees. Carroll was tired. I don't like this pattern though of like subbing Carroll in the 70th minute like every game. That's not working for me.
Doesn't bother me. I don't mind if the goal scorer gets a curtain call late in the match and the game is 1-0 because of his goal. Like, that's how it should work. I think maybe 77 is a little early. Give me 8 more minutes. Get me to 85. And I feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, I think
but that's when we talk about Ben Bender, right? Somebody who we said we need to see minutes. And I'd rather see Bender get 15 than get 3.
Sure,
so,
I agree with that.
So the VAR, there it is. You know, I've said many times before, fuck VAR, but in this situation, VAR saved the day for.
I mean, when it makes the right call,
and Charlotte FC was on the lucky side, and sometimes it's better to be lucky and good, which Charlotte FC was on Saturday night.
What do you think of the back five? Like, this is 2 games in a row where we've put in the back five to sort of shore up a lead, and one time it completely lost for us, and this time, we were under a lot of pressure and looked a little shaky at times.
Yeah, I would just advise you to not watch Everton.
I never do. You can rest assured, I never do.
That would be my advice. Because that's what a back five looks like, and Burnley Ball and Sean Dyke, who is somebody that I respect immensely for his ability to set and organize a back line against a tough competition, which MLS is this year for Charlotte FC. And the last 2 matches, Christian Latanzio has been able to really create a back block to. Really should have gotten 6 points, but we're here with 4. And that's why, by the way, that when we say a draw feels like a loss, it's so nice to have an extra point on top of last night's result, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you think about 2 games at home, so you can you get that one extra point.
It could be worse.
Good.
It could definitely be
3.
worse.
Because it felt like a loss, but it really wasn't. You got a point, so all of a sudden, that's a really good thing.
I mean, it's way, caveat, like 15 billion caveats in a half here. It's way too early to start looking at table. But let's look at the table anyway. You can see we're ahead of a few teams now, and it feels good, right?
Well, yeah, it feels really good to jump up, and that's what 3 points does for you, right? Mm-hmm. Look what another 3 points does for you. It jumps you all the way up to 12, right? Which gets you up to 6. So I mean, it's a very simple formula, and that's why last week was so disappointing. 2 points, right? If those 2 points,
we'd be tied for a playoff spot right now with 2 points.
Yeah.
And do you remember last year there was a lot of early season table watching, and we, at least I don't want to speak for you, but I kind of got into it with people like, quit pay. People were trying to use our good table position as like evidence that like this team's way better than anyone thinks early in the season. And I was very much poo-pooing that, because I was like, it's too early to look at the table. Plus, we have everyone has 2 games in hand on us because of the way the schedule worked. We were always like ahead of these teams that had like 2 games ahead of on hand on us. So I never wanted to get too excited about our spot. But now with the way the schedule works, the games in hand situation doesn't come up as much because everyone's playing at the same time on the weekend. And so I feel like we can tell a little bit more impact of what a table watch might look here. And, you look, I mean, we're 6 points out of of hosting a playoff game, which is not great, but considering our start, I like our chances to continue to improve and get more points down the road. I don't know.
The one thing that I'll say is that I think, all I want to do is just string together 3 points. That's the plan for this. I think that's always been the plan. We've talked about how do you have success is that you win matches. I know that sounds absurdly simple, but it's just the point system and how the point system works. 3 points is just invaluable in this league. So when you think about what those 3 points did, you add them up, and if you can string together 3 or 4 wins in 5 matches, all of a sudden,
right?
Charlotte FC could go into the summertime and things would be completely different. Hey, we said at the beginning of the show that the call on WFNZ was just absolutely amazing. I want to
let's listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, I want to just make sure we listen to the whole thing and pick us up before we get out of here on this beautiful Sunday evening.
Played to the near side on a curling ball, nicely done for József. He's onside. József with a cross into the area. One touch volley. He scores! Karol Swiderski from Kamil József. The inverse of last week as József with a one-touch volley to Karol to open the scoring at the bank.
The Polish connection just keeps getting better. It is a glorious delivery into the boots of Karol Swiderski. And who else would you trust more to strike that one time but Karol Swiderski? He breaks the net with a smashing finish. The crowd goes wild, but you can't help but notice the birthday boy's delivery. It's a beautiful delivery by Kamil József into his fellow countrymen. Charlotte take the lead and the crowd go wild.
Amazing call from Jess Charman there, who just absolutely nailed it on so many levels and captured exactly how every Charlotte FC fan was feeling. In
Pure
that
poetry,
moment.
baby. Shout out. Is József somehow, has he become Golsviak?
It is definitely shout out time on the show, Danny. If you got him now, get him in.
Has he become Golsviak is my only question. Brandon Davis is asking, is József the team MVP at this point?
No,
Len
Karol
C
Swiderski.
checks in, says they were trying to bait us and to allow space, but we held our ground well. But Karol and Latanzio both commented on the compactness of the defense post-game, which is great. Greg Franco, as crazy as that would have sounded a few weeks ago, yes, József is our team MVP at this point.
Hear me out for a second. Do you think that József is? Do you think the Polish soccer federation is keeping tabs on his play, and next time
Yes.
Karol gets called up, maybe József does and gets some time? Something to think about.
At least, toss him a birthday present with a little an international call up, right? Yeah, I think they're paying attention for sure. And the way to get noticed by your national federation is to score goals for your domestic club. I mean, that's just that's you keep popping up on score sheet, getting assists and goals, and the national federation has to take notice. This is a good question. What do you think of this one from Sean? Was this the most enjoyable game to watch this season? I have to say, yeah.
I wouldn't say yes, because I think it's last Saturday against Colorado was just as enjoyable. There was just true, that last minute. So it's the same kind of feeling. I think you could argue that the win at Orlando too.
It's fun to watch. Yeah.
That was fun to watch
At
too.
The EPR, we haven't said EPR once on this episode yet.
No, yeah. We're speaking of that, I'll tell you what, Danny Brams, it's been a great show. We're getting out of here, and we've got some big announcements to make. We're going up to DC. We want to see you there. If you make the trip to DC, let us know. We got a great setup next to the stadium heading into the match this Saturday. We're going to be there, Danny Brams. We're going to do a show before we get out of town on Thursday night, and maybe we'll even do a live Twitter Spaces as we're driving up to the match.
That'd be kind of amazing. That could be very amazing. Yeah. Now we're pushing this in a new direction.
And when we're driving back as well.
Yeah.
It's tough to be on camera. It's tough to be on a YouTube show. So I just wanted to say it's been a fantastic show. It's the fact that Charlotte FC got 3 points on Saturday night is something to really celebrate, something to really think about.
For the crowd.
So we're going to be back later this week. We really appreciate you when you subscribe to this YouTube channel, when you rate this YouTube channel. Let us know what you like about the show. Drop something in the comments as well. It's Charlotte Soccer Show, episode 83, Protect the Fortress and Defend the Keep.
There's only 2 things you got to do.
And as always, Danny Brams.
For the crown, baby.